I got to talk to Dana and Sean Shelby, because they announced October 6th Khabib versus Conor. So that I was originally going to, in my mind, I got an MRI. They said I have a torn labrum in my right hip. I could do surgery or physical therapy. And before that fight got announced, I was considering probably doing surgery. But now, after talking to the physical therapist at the UFC, Heather, I think we're going to do physical therapy and try to get on that card, because I really want to be on that card. But
both Sean and Dana said they want him on the start out the pay-per-view.
Sean Shelby and Dana both told me they wanted me to start off that pay-per-view. And fuck, that's going to be the biggest fight in UFC history. And I'm going to be the beginning of that card and then eventually be the main event of the biggest fight in history.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, because you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
I've got some good news and I've got some bad news, full-time family. And around here we like to give the bad news first so we can end the video on a good note. So the bad news is Sean O'Malley might be entering his next fight at less than 100%, which, I mean, most fighters do, and no fighter enters the octagon at 100% all the way healthy. But Sean O'Malley might be a little bit closer to 70-ish%. I'm just saying he's not going to be as healthy as can be, because as you heard in the beginning of this video, it's looking like he might be just doing physical therapy instead of getting the surgery that could potentially heal his torn labrum in his hip. Now also, part of the bad news is it seems like Sean O'Malley might be dealing with a new injury he may have suffered in training, because we saw in his last fight versus Andre Sukumthov he had a visible pain, but the injury was in his ankle. He seemed to refracture an already fractured ankle, so that's what we were waiting on Sean O'Malley to heal up from before he came back to the UFC. But now, as he revealed on his YouTube channel in one of his dope little vlogs he's got with Tim Welch over there, I recommend you go subscribe to that channel. Great, they're doing like daily vlogs on the road. Maybe not every day, but still they're posting a lot of content, a lot more content as of late on the Sean O'Malley YouTube channel. So make sure you go subscribe over there. But yeah, on the video he revealed that he spoke with the doctors and he had a torn labrum and he was considering getting surgery. But after realizing the huge opportunity that could potentially be presented to him, he might be looking at just getting physical therapy done so he can be ready in time for October 6th, which would be UFC 229, McGregor versus Khabib. That's the good news, full-time family. Our dog Sean O'Malley could potentially be fighting on the biggest card in UFC history. That would be a huge opportunity for any UFC fighter, prospect or champion alike. There's going to be more eyes on that UFC pay-per-view than any other pay-per-view of all UFC all time. So with that being said, if Sean O'Malley could come in there and get a big win, who knows, maybe a viral submission or a knockout, that would do numbers for his already budding career. Now with that being said, Sean O'Malley and his team have also been looking for an opponent, it seems like, as of late, gearing up for his UFC return. And from what I've heard, he's looking for a ranked opponent and a guy that's coming off of a win. That's what it seems like his team is looking for. And one of the guys that fit the bill was Alejandro Turbo Perez, actually. I think that would be a great matchup. But it seems like maybe Alejandro Perez doesn't want the fight. At least that's what it. If you were keeping up with Sean O'Malley's Twitter, he tweeted not too long ago. He said, "So Alejandro Perez, let me get this straight. You don't want to fight me?" You know, like reassuring, like you don't want the fight with me, because a lot of guys do want the Sean O'Malley fight. You know, whether it's because they feel like he's overhyped or whatever reason, they want to steal his shine. A lot of guys have called Sean O'Malley out, including most recently at UFC 227, Ricardo Ramos, another up-and-coming prospect. Hell, if Sean O'Malley can't find a top 15 ranked opponent coming off of a win, maybe he looks at a fight with Ricardo Ramos, although I don't really like that fight because, I mean, it's prospect versus prospect. Usually the UFC doesn't make those fights. And so, but if Sean O'Malley can't find an opponent, you know, it is what it is. We got to try and get on this Khabib versus McGregor card, you know, given that we're healthy. So, with that being said, it is what it is, man. If Sean O'Malley gets booked on this card, it's going to be a huge opportunity. And as a big fan of Sean O'Malley, I'm hoping he comes in healthy enough to get the job done, because I think it would be great for his career to fight on the biggest card in UFC history. And this is actually what I was talking about not too long ago when I said you know, Conor McGregor's not looking to share the pay-per-view with any other champions. I mean, there's been reports of that because they get pay-per-view points, and Conor McGregor's really the one selling all the pay-per-views. So instead of having champions that are just trying to get a piece of Conor McGregor's pie, kind of, you know, like looking at it like Christmas or another payday, like, oh yeah, I would love to fight on the Conor McGregor card because I get some of the pay-per-view and that's going to be the biggest payday of my life. Well, Conor McGregor's like, no, you guys got to build up your own fan base, at least according to reports. You know, he doesn't really want to share the pay-per-view with other champions because they're just looking at him as an easy payday, kind of like when Brock Lesnar's on the card or any of those guys. You know, champions try to line up for those cards and get a piece of that pie. So with that being said, the best in my mind, if you're the UFC and if Conor McGregor, you know, one of his demands is not wanting to fight with other champions on the card, well, shoot, if you're the UFC, the best people to put on that card, you would think maybe are some prospects. Get the most eyes possible on some of your up-and-comers, prospects or up-and-coming contenders, maybe like a Kevin Lee, Sean O'Malley, you know, guys that aren't going to get a piece of the pay-per-view, but you still kind of want to build up a little bit. So with that being said, that would be a great move, I think, for Sean O'Malley to be opening up the pay-per-view. We still need an opponent, and of course, we're going to have to see where his health is, because who knows, maybe his health will not allow him to fight on this card if he actually has a torn labrum in his hip. Maybe it'll be too serious, physical therapy won't be enough, and he'll have to get the surgery. But at the same time, I do believe this is something that we've seen fighters consider fighting through. Like Tyron Woodley recently tore the labrum in his shoulder, and he was saying, you know, he was willing to fight through it depending on the matchup. Like if it was going to be Nate Diaz, he would have fought through it if he would have just did physical therapy. But if he's not going to get the legacy fight or the money fight, he's probably just going to go on and get the surgery and make sure he's 100%. So he went ahead and did that. So with that being said, if Sean O'Malley, hopefully he doesn't get, and it could be the toughest fight of his life, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you could only imagine the fights get tougher in the UFC after your first 2 wins. So if he's looking to fight a top 15 ranked guy, the one downside is maybe he's coming into the biggest fight of his life with the most skilled opponent he's faced with a little bit of an injury. But like we all know, I mean, his opponent's likely going to be coming into the fight with a little bit of an injury as well, because this is the fight game and no one really comes into their fights at 100%. So it is what it is. There's a Sean O'Malley update, much needed, especially on the channel. He's healing up, looking to come back and potentially fight at UFC 229. And that's not just his idea, as you heard in the beginning of the video. Dana White and Sean Shelby, I believe, also are interested in Sean O'Malley opening up the next Conor McGregor vs. Khabib pay-per-view. So hey, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. And before we go, shout out to all the full-time MMA white belts that have hit the subscribe button. Make sure you also hit the bell right next to it so you get notified every time I upload a new video, or some of the time that I upload a new video, because YouTube's notification bell is a player hater. But this is one of the hardest working independent MMA channels on YouTube. We provide daily updates, full fight card breakdowns and predictions. We make MMA fighter freestyles, and we've already interviewed pro fighters Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley, Felony Charles Bennett, and Bruce Lushmedio in just a little over a year as an MMA channel. We're one of the fastest growing MMA channels on YouTube. So with that being said, if you're interested in more videos like this, check out the Full-Time MMA Dojo over at patreon.com. One of the things you can see while you're over there are some of the goals of the channel, and also more free videos like this, betting advice, and more. We just launched the Full-Time MMA store over on teespring.com, and we've got some limited edition gear in order to celebrate that. We've got some Day One Foop the Other Side shirts that are only available for a limited time. Also, you got leggings, phone cases, Don't Be a Bagel Biter, coffee mugs, and more. With that being said, you can check the links out in the description if you want to check out the Full-Time MMA Dojo or the Full-Time MMA store on Teespring. Respect. Let the Full-Time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da! It's the motherfucking DOWG!